This is the Strait of Hormuz, which is currently the focus of the world. A strategic passage connecting the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea, it serves as the primary route for global oil shipments to Asian markets. Any disruption caused by conflict in West Asia could potentially impact the global oil supply chain and affect energy prices, which in turn would have implications for transportation costs, trade, and the Malaysian economy.
Economic Development Lecturer at the Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School, UITM, Professor Dr. Tan Pek Leong, says careful fuel management as a contingency plan is a step the government can take. This includes temporarily absorbing increased subsidies to prevent global oil price shocks, while maintaining domestic economic stability and avoiding unnecessary panic among consumers.
At the same time, authorities must remain vigilant against traders who take advantage of the situation to unfairly raise prices, using this global conflict as an excuse. Since Malaysia's food imports are not directly affected, there should be no unreasonable price hikes for basic essential goods.
As long as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed and European nations and the United States don't release their oil reserves, global oil prices will continue to be volatile. Any price increase exceeding $100 a barrel will have a significant impact on the entire world.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. With this rising issue, the closure of Strait of Hormuz is raising global concern, as one of the world's key oil routes faces disruption. And with rising tension in the Gulf, energy supplies, the fact that oil prices are going up and the global economy is feeling the pressure. To break this down, we speak to our Professor Dr. Tan Pek Leong from Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School, University Technology Mara, UITM. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time, the gentleman behind all of my analysis and my research, and thank you for being with us at Global Perspective only on RTM World.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Prof. From your short perspective, as we discussed just now behind the camera, what is the most immediate impact of this situation, Prof, on global economy?
So in my view, the most important impact is the rising costs and the uncertainty that come with it. You see, this is because energy is not just one part of the economy, but it is power almost everything. It powers the electricity, it powers the transport, it powers the way we move goods from one place to another place, and it supports factory, food system, logistic and trade, practically everything. So when energy supply is disrupted, the impact does not stay only in oil and gas industry or in oil and gas market. It spread very quickly into daily life, and it spread very quickly across the wider economy. So what actually happened is this. The first shock is seen in fuel price. Okay, the price go up, the shipping costs go up, the supply concern. After that, the pressure move into transport costs, electricity costs, and then production costs. Then household begin to feel it through higher food prices, more expensive services, and weaker purchasing power. So the issue is not whether the global economy will be affected or not. The issue is how soon each country start to feel this pressure. And this is where the idea of lag time come in. Sometimes the public does not feel the full impact because of existing contract that we have, because of inventory that we have, because of the government control or subsidy may delay the effect for a while. But that does not mean the problem is gone. It means that the shock is still moving through the system, and what began as an energy shock can later become inflation problem, and then slowly affecting our economic growth. This is why the crisis matters so much. If energy become unstable, then transport become expensive, and then production become expensive, food become more expensive, and confidence in the economy become weaker. So to me, the immediate effect is broad. in the sense that rising costs and uncertainty with the bigger inflationary in the time to come. So if I put it in a very simple one-line word, is energy is the bloodstream of the economy. So once the bloodstream is disturbed, the whole economic system comes under pressure.
Malaysia is truly Asia. It's a land with rich heritage for you to explore. Sandy beaches, friendly faces, surreal experiences everywhere. Malaysia yang unik, kaya dengan budaya, destinasi menarik. Mari sini semuanya. Hey, 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 hey.
Welcome to Malaysia, where the sights are surreal. Beyond imagination, every moment you feel. Taste the food, try the highlands, such a thrill. The heartbeat of Asia, where dreams are fulfilled.
Malaysia，我美丽的国家，东南西北这一片土地都让我们着迷。Rakyat dia cukup kemarin, pengadung ia nyelapkan mata.
Malaysia, நிற்கும் உணர்வோம். வானின் நீலமின் மலைகளாக இயற்கை.
Kailan ako gagalisuwa, lopono ko'y maya. Ipumawidin atalay, ang milong Malaysia yang unik, kaya dengan budaya, destinasi menarik. Mari sini semuanya. Malaysia, Malaysia truly Asia.
Everyone, the Strait of Hormuz is considered one of the most important energy routes in the world. Although it appears narrow, a large portion of oil exports from Gulf nations like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Kuwait, and Qatar pass through this very area. For the Asian region, including Malaysia, several key commodities pass through this route, including crude oil from Gulf producers, liquefied natural gas or LNG from Qatar, petrochemical products for industry, and agricultural fertilizers used in the food sector. If a disruption occurs in the Strait of Hormuz, commodity shipments could become more expensive as shipping insurance and logistics costs rise. However, for Malaysia, the most significant impact is usually not on food supplies, but on global energy prices. This is because gasoline and diesel prices are heavily influenced by the movement of global oil prices. According to economic development lecturer at Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School, UITM, Professor Dr. Tan Pek Leong, the short-term impact is limited. But in the long run, An import dependency of around 50% could cause food prices to rise due to increased global transportation costs.
Nearly 70 to 80% of the oil passing through the Strait of Hormuz is eventually sent to Asian countries like China, Japan, South Korea, and India. Therefore, the stability of this route is crucial to the energy security of the Asian region. For Malaysia, its importance lies more in the impact on global energy prices rather than a direct dependence on that route. Malaysia does import some crude oil and petroleum products from the Middle East, but the volume is not that large compared to the country's total trade. Instead, the main impact on Malaysia comes through the rise in world oil prices, which can increase fuel subsidy costs and put pressure on domestic inflation.
Thus, the stability of the Strait of Hormuz is not only important to oil-producing countries, but is also a major factor influencing global energy prices. For Malaysia, although direct dependence is limited, the rise in world oil prices due to any disruption still has the potential to increase the cost of living and inflationary pressure in the long run.
Prof, as you said that the Strait of Hormuz is the lifeline, maybe the lifeline energy of to supply the oil and trade. Maybe from your perspective as well, how official is it in current crisis? Do you think that we can survive maybe after this June 2026 on Malaysia position?
Well, Strait of Hormuz is the lifeline of global energy, and this crisis is extremely critical. In fact, Strait of Hormuz is one of the most important energy choke points in the world. According to International Energy Agency, IEA, around 20 million barrels per day of crude oil and oil product moved through this strait in 2025. This is about 1/4 global seaborne oil trade. And the strait also carry about 1/5, 20% of the global LNG trade. So this is not just about a narrow shipping route in one region. It is one of the world's main energy arteries. That means when the strait is disrupted, the effects are felt beyond Middle East. It is felt beyond the region itself. It becomes a global economic matter. Countries far away still face the impact because they are connected through the same energy market, shipping system, insurance costs, and even the same supply chain. So a disruption there affects prices everywhere. So and we are already seeing this evident where hundreds of tankers, oil tankers and LNG carriers have faced delay and congestion in this Gulf Coast. That tells us this is no longer about the market fear. It's already affecting the movement of physical energy supplies. And if you recall, recently Australia Prime Minister came and visited us in Malaysia. And in fact, Australia, which is very far from Middle East, already start to take action to ensure that they have sufficient supply of fuel. They came to Brunei, they came to South Korea, they came to Malaysia to ask for more petrol. And us here through Petronas has ensured them any excess of fuel from Petronas will be given to Australia in priority. So this shows clearly that even distant countries like Australia are thinking urgently about alternative energy arrangement. But for us in Malaysia, I would say we are not immune. We are somewhat more cushioned from other countries because of domestic fuel policy we have like Budi 95 and all this support system that we have. Still, if the disruption continues longer than what we expected, Malaysia will also feel the indirect effect through the transportation costs, imported inflation, and broader business costs. So in a simple way to phrase it, I can say that the Strait of Hormuz is not just a waterway, it is a global energy artery. So when this artery is blocked or squeezed, the whole world will feel the pressure.
I'm interested with your words, Prof, which is the Strait of Hormuz is the global, our global energy artery. So it becomes like our blood is stuck and like, what do you say just now, sir?
If our bloodline is affected, our whole body is sick. The whole economy is affected. not just the Middle East, but the whole world economy is affected.
Okay, obviously as a Malaysian, I think like it's really inappropriate lah. I mean like for America to do that with the Israel and all. And some more for the economic review, it's economic distress lah. And then the increase of the cost, and some people have to work from home. Cost of the food itself driven high.
I think this war is really a disaster, especially to common people, because it can affect the prices, the rising prices, especially oil prices. So yeah, I think it affects people badly because it involves our money. So I think this war is so bad to people around the world. Yeah, of course I want this war to end faster, because as a younger generation we really struggle to save our money. So when especially youngers who drive daily, and of course with the rising oil prices, it may affect their pocket.
For me personally, it affects so many innocent people, including kids, macam orang tua semua. So affect so many people lah. Maybe they can talk peaceful. I hope the war is going to end soon. I hope the oil price go down, and then I hope everything back to normal.
The impact of the West Asian conflict on Malaysia's economy so far remains under control compared to several neighboring countries within ASEAN. You can see a clear difference through these inflation rate statistics. Malaysia's inflation in February 2024 was 1.4%, while Singapore recorded 1.2%. Indonesia was 3.48% in March, Thailand was negative 0.08% in March, and the Philippines was 4.1%. This shows that price pressure in Malaysia is still lower than in Indonesia and the Philippines, and almost on par with Singapore. Even though Thailand is currently experiencing a rather unusual state of negative inflation, Malaysia's food inflation also remains controlled at 1.3% in February 2024, lower than the Philippines' 2.8% and Indonesia's 4.24%, and nearly on par with Singapore's 1.6% and Thailand's 0.34%. However, Malaysia still faces pressure from rising food prices. Rising crude oil prices increase logistics and food production costs, which will simultaneously impact consumer prices. To address this, Malaysia is maintaining targeted subsidies and price controls. Indonesia still relies on large subsidies during its reform process, while Thailand and the Philippines use a mixed open market approach with selective government intervention. This policy approach also reflects the level of economic resilience of each country. According to the head of JP Morgan Asia, Rajiv Batra, Malaysia is among the economies with better resilience in facing energy price shocks. Having a strong economic buffer is Malaysia's strength in the short term. At the same time, Malaysia's advantage lies in crisis management and effective enforcement, helping ensure aid reaches target groups and curbing price spikes. Among the main price control and enforcement measures are integrated operations to combat leakage, digital monitoring of subsidy distribution, and firm action against smuggling. All these approaches increase system efficiency compared to several other countries in this region. As an energy-producing nation, Malaysia also has a natural advantage over importing countries like the Philippines and Thailand. However, that advantage also depends on volatile global prices. In fact, Malaysia's strength lies in price controls, targeted subsidies, and a swift fiscal response. The subsidized price of RON 95 remains at RM1.99 per litre, with fuel subsidies around 4 billion ringgit a month.
If asked which country is more stable, the answer is that Malaysia so far appears more stable in terms of inflation, due to a combination of targeted subsidies, selective price controls, and relatively swift supply management. Singapore, on the other hand, is stronger in terms of fiscal space. Indonesia has large-scale capacity, but bears high subsidy costs. Thailand and the Philippines are the most pressured countries due to higher energy exposure and more challenging control space.
And an uncertain global economic landscape. The ability to manage crises becomes the determinant of a nation's resilience.
For my last question for this program, for ASEAN countries, including Malaysia, the impact goes beyond rising fuel prices, like as you said before. It raises concerns over economic stability, supply chains, and overall regional security. And looking ahead, how much longer actually do you think this conflict may continue, and what are the broader implications for global stability and markets, Prof?
At this stage, we should be very careful about expecting a very quick solution. The duration of this crisis depends on several things. It depends on whether the diplomacy, the ceasefire can reduce the conflict or not. Second, it depends whether shipping security can be restored. And also it depends whether the damage to the energy facilities and the trade routes can be contained. At the moment, those conditions still uncertain. And that's why market remain nervous. Even if the military tension is today, the economic effect may not be felt through it immediately.
It may not be healed
immediately because
because
the energy market do not return to normal overnight. Shipping routes need to stabilize, insurance costs need to fall, supply contract need to be restored, inventory need to be rebuilt. So even after the conflict slow or stop, the economic aftershocks will be felt for weeks or even for months. So the broader implications are serious. So first is prolonged disruption. We don't know when it will stop. Will continue to keep the inflation high. Second, it can weaken the economic growth, especially towards the energy importing countries. And third, it can increase volatility in financial market, including currency exchange, equity and bond. And lastly, it gives a lot of pressure to governments, especially in terms of their finances, to support or to cushion consumer and businesses from rising costs. And this also have a wider human impact. If energy costs stay high, fertilizer costs will rise, transport costs will rise, and eventually food price will rise. So this is not only about oil prices or the oil market, it is also about livelihood, purchasing power, and social stability. So in my conclusion, the longer the disruption continue, the bigger the economic shock will become. And not only in energy, but in transport, food, inflation, debt pressure, global market instability. Even if military sides slow down, the economic lag effect may still be catching up with the world. And that is why my final word will be government, businesses, household, every one of us need to prepare for a challenging time that is already here. And it will only get worse before it get better.
What do you think we as the citizen, or Malaysian citizen, what should we prepare of?
We should be rethinking about how we spend our resources. We know the tough time, the challenging time is already here. So how are you going to manage the resources you have, the money that we have, the fuel that we use? Even the government is asking, if possible, some of the civil servants to work from home. Every litre they save is saving the government 2 ringgit. So if 1 million civil servants choose to work from home, and they save 1 litre of oil a day, is saving 2 million for the government. So there's a lot of things we need to rethink, because the challenging time is coming and it's going to last for some time before better time come back.
So thank you so much, sir, for your time, for your cooperation, for global perspective. And indeed, we're hoping that this global war will be finished as soon as possible, and Malaysia will be safe, and all of the global as well. So we're catching you, and stay tuned for more infos and series for global perspective only on RTM World.